like round 2. It's like
round
round 2.
Yeah.
We only just seen it. It wasn't even that long ago. No. We're in a different spot. I'd like to thank Craig at BoxFit and Firefight and our sponsors Dynamitize, Remedy Clothing and number1plates.com. So yeah, Maxi, how you doing, mate? You've got some big news. That's why we got you back in.
Yeah,
got some big news, big fight news.
Momentum's carrying on, and confident it'll be keep going along, and hopefully get another fight in December as WBC International Champ.
That's it, and that's it, man. And when you were saying before on the show that you're desperate to fight abroad, you kind of got that wish as well.
Yeah. Someone must have been listening. But I were happy. This actual fight, I was going to happen. It was scheduled for March this year, but apparently Victor pulled out, and then the corona hit, so it all got cancelled. And I'm quite happy to go to Kazakhstan. I was going to be going to his hometown to fight this fight, and I were happy to go there. But
wow, was that the original venue then? Was to go there?
Yeah. Then obviously COVID came, cancelled it, and then they were looking for an opponent for Jono Carroll in my last fight. That happened. Now I'm in a better position now. Yeah. Now I'm going into this fight, an MTK fighter, and it's in a little bit better location than Kazakhstan.
I'd set the buy over Kazakh, I think. Yeah. So how soon after the Cavill win did you get the call for this fight?
I think it was 2 weeks, or just over 2 weeks. I think it was, about 2.5 weeks maybe, But I'd only had a week off at gym. Yeah. I wanted to, because I was still buzzing about Carroll win. I watched the fight back and I was like, even though I won, I was like, I didn't do that very well. I could have beat him so much easier, more clinical. So I was like, right, get back in the gym and start working on these things. And before I knew it, I had a phone call that says, Lee Eaton's words were, he rung me, he says, I hope you're not eating pizza, are you? I says, no. He says, right. He says, October 9th or October 14th, you back out for WBC International. So I'm like, get in. I'm glad I didn't take my foot off the gas and have a...
What's that moment like when you hear them words? So you're fighting for a title?
Oh, was it? I was sat in van. I just pulled up on drive. I just picked my young'un up, and she was shouting and screaming. She wanted to come out of the baby seat. She's trying to press up buttons, and I'm like that. Yeah, you want, Lee? You want? Yeah. Oh, wow! Get in with fight. So much. That's what it was like for me. But yeah, I strutted into the house, told my missus, says, we're back out. So yeah, we're buzzing.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing what one win can do in boxing, isn't it?
Oh yeah. It's great, but it's also fickle because a loss, you back to the bottom of the pile.
Yeah.
So I just need to keep that momentum going, and hopefully, victory. I think he's number 14 in world with the WBC. So by beating him, I should be able to take his ranking, or hopefully go up a couple of spaces in front. But I think you can. So he's sanctioned by the WBC. I think you only have to be in the top 15 to be picked as a voluntary title defence. So stranger things have happened. Hopefully before Christmas might be going to fight that.
So potentially, you've gone from where you were before the Carroll fight to now potentially 2, maybe 3 fights away from getting a shot at the title. It's insane.
Stranger things have happened, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely insane.
So hopefully, I think I need to be a bit busier with my mouth, maybe start calling that Devin Haney out. And
do it now, man. The camera's right there, just tell him.
Devin Haney, if you want it.
Get Devin Haney out to Leeds.
Yeah.
Do you shy away from that sort of stuff then?
Like I am a shy kid, and I've always shied away from confrontations. As a kid, the fights I had at school, because I was no good with my mouth. I remember times I was like, you'd get kids that they'd give me that, and I'd try and argue back, and I'd start mumbling my words, and my bottom lip would start shaking, and that's when I just think, just fight, and that's when the fights I had at school were because of that. So I do tend to avoid the talking, and you see press conference where they're back and forward with. I'm not very good. I tend to sort of like make a joke out of it.
Yeah.
When I boxed Liam Morse last year at the press conference, I thought we wasn't first to speak up, but they spoke to a couple of fighters about their fights, and it it was the bog standard stuff, you know, training camp's gone well, I respect my opponent, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, the script.
Yeah, so I mentioned something about Rocky. I says, they're like, how's your training going? I says, it's gone good. I'm going to bring the speed of Apollo Creed, toughness of Rocky, and the ruthlessness of Clubber Lang. And everybody loved it. I got a lot of talking after about how funny it was. And I think that's how I'll end up going, just make a joke of it, because I don't want to get into that verbal stuff. Or
fascinating. How do you ever get any pressure from promoters or managers to sort of take on a persona to sell tickets?
Nobody's
Does that ever happen? Nobody's
really done that to me. When I signed with Dave Caldwell, he mentioned before one of my fights, we were in rolling changing room, and Paulie Malignaggi, one of my mates had tweeted Paulie Malignaggi saying, "Can we get a good look for my mate Maxi Hughes who's fighting tonight?" So he did. And then I started doing an impression of Paulie Malignaggi, just in changing room messing about. So Dave Caldwell says, "Do that in your interview after the fight, do that." I says, "Really?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "It'll get people talking and then we can build momentum." And I did it a bit, but I sort of never followed it up, and it were only a 6-rounder, so. But he would trying to push me that way, and I can see why, because, you know, people talk in the press conference interviews, and it builds like Dave Allen. Look at what Dave Allen's done.
Yeah, almost all from.
He just jokes and says talk a bit of rubbish. And
well, McGregor managed to talk himself into the richest fight in sports history. So
and he convinced people to bet on him.
He convinced people he's going to win that fight.
You know what?
He convinced people he's going to win that fight.
He nearly made a believer out of me. Like, I was arguing with some of my MMA fighters, and I'm like, I was sat at work, I'm thinking, no, he can't beat. I thought he can't. But then I thought, what if he lands a big left hand?
Everyone doing that.
He had me second.
But that's the cult of personality.
Yeah.
It's so powerful what one man's confidence can inspire hundreds of thousands of other men to believe. It's insane.
I do admire that about him, what he did in his MMA career. Can't take that away from him. His confidence, his mental game, the confidence he had talking, believing it, made a believer out of everyone. And he did back it up. You know, maybe when he lost to Diaz, maybe just a step too far. He'd already climbed that mountain, beating Aldo. So
we can't keep talking that way once you've lost a few times, can you?
Just don't watch anymore.
It's interesting. Some people love all that stuff, and some people, personally, I hate it. In terms of, I can't stand it. I like the old, it has to be genuine. Van Holyfield, the tight, I like the guys that
no nonsense fighters.
No glove, no socks. They get in the ring, they do the interview, they go, I can't stand all that. I can't stand it.
I think
if it's genuine, it's fun. I think if it's genuine,
if there's a genuine
fun. Chisora, White, Froch Groves.
What I am enjoying at the minute is Chisora and Usyk.
It's weird. It's like two absolute nutcases trying to wind each other up.
It's just funny, isn't it? It's nothing malicious. It's nothing hateful. It's just funny.
And he was just whacking him. I was like, hello.
But Usyk is a character. I do like him.
I guess it's knowing how to do it as well, isn't it? Because you get Ali that's loved for that, but he could do it well. And you get someone like Naz, who he's loved as well, but he was equally as hated for the same thing. Because there's levels to it. It's like you can do it in a way where if you've got the characters to back it up, it works really well for you. Or look at Mayweather. He's the most successful fighter in the history of the sport, probably the greatest of all time. Hated. Just almost universally hated, even within his own sport.
Same as
such a fine line.
Chris Eubanks. He embraced that people hated him. And he loved it.
He made that his persona.
Loved it.
He's YouTube gold as well. He's absolutely
even now he's
gold the way that he talks.
But he did it at a time before all social media. It were all newspapers and terrestrial telly. So it were only way.
You know what's interesting? Because I listened to Eubanks do an interview. They did what's the thing on Sky Sports called, the round table thing, where they get like 4 or 5 of the guys from the same era. And he was there with Eubanks was there, Collins was there, Kalzaki was there,
Roy Jones Jr. was there.
Roy Jones was there, because Collins lost his rag and walked off in the end, didn't he?
But I didn't like him for that.
No, I loved him at the time, but he made himself look stupid then. But I remember, because the one thing about Eubanks, ironically, is he's got this alter ego persona, which is just, ultra confident, etc. But then he's really humble. So he was explaining that part of that persona that he adapted was to cover up the fact that he was just constantly terrified. He was just constantly terrified. Always admitted that he never wanted to be a boxer. thought boxing was barbaric, didn't actually want to be there. It just happened to be something he was good at and he could make his fortunes at. But actually, he was terrified. And to hide that, rather than embrace it, he thought, I'm going to make myself into this godlike figure and persona. And it worked for him.
I liked that round table because they all asked they asked the question, where do you put yourself amongst these in sort of rank? And he held his hand up, he says, no, he says, these guys are all better than me, and you're like shocked to hear it from him. You know, it's like he's let that persona go, and he was just humble amongst them. I like that. Because
you realise how many of these fights, because we were saying before off camera, how it's whether it's MMA or boxing, it's such an unnatural thing to do. You know, most conflict in like our personal lives or private lives, if it happens, it's again about it, it's spontaneous. You've got that. But boxing's so unique, and MMA is the same. You know, where you get a phone call, you got to fight. Right, I've got to fight. 12 weeks to prepare, make all these sacrifices. Then you get into a ring voluntarily in front of an audience, in front of a crowd, and you're sacrificing your kids and your family. And sometimes you're doing it for not great money, and it's such a bizarre thing to put you through. But you've got to create these spaces for yourself psychologically to do it.
You don't know about him. You've got no hatred towards him, nothing but respect, and you think, I like you. You know, like when I fought Leon Walsh, we were sat all we kept bumping into each other before fighting. We were sat chatting. We were just about to get picked up for weighing, and we were sat around the table like this, just talking. I'm like, God, tomorrow I'm going to punch you in the face. And it's like crazy, and you're like, I like you, but we're going to have a fight and be nasty towards each other and try and hurt each other.
How do you deal with that then? So how does it work? Do you kind of channel that anger? You want that guy that for the sort of 8-week training camp, there's a picture of the opponent, next to the punch bag, and you focus on it. Or is it in the change room, you can flick that switch and turn that anger on?
I think for me it is, I don't think I hate any of my opponents. I've always got respect for them. Unless it's not happened yet, but unless they start giving it real trash talk and slating me, and if they said something about my family, then it would become personal, and I wouldn't shake their hand after a fight if they crossed that line by, saying something really disrespectful. But for me, it is just that switch. Even, right up until that first bell goes, it's like, I don't see it as anything but a fight. It's like, I don't see him as the personality of that person who's fighting. I just see it as...
You've got a job to do.
It's just a job, and you're the person who I've just got to beat you. I've got to do what I'm trained to do and what I've worked towards doing. I'm just going to do that. It's nothing personal at all. But yeah, it is just, for me, it's just that switch. Usually when bell goes for the first round.
It's fascinating to me how all that works, because that obviously speaks to your character outside of the ring as well. I imagine you're probably quite a calm.
Oh, really?
Yeah, exactly.
People at work don't believe that I've got it in me to get in a ring and hit somebody and try and inflict pain. But yeah, it is there.
Well, again, it's not for most of it. It's not a natural instinct, is it? That's why it's so bizarre. I remember, my brother was a boxer. He boxed pro. But I remember one of the reasons I just never made it as an amateur even was that despite having a decent skill level, I never had that killer instinct. I never had that. Even if I had someone hurt, for whatever reason, it just was not in me to smell blood and go for a kill. It just wasn't there. And you can't not have that in this game.
No,
you can't.
You can either do that to someone or you can't, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I've seen kids in gym, especially more on the amateur side, the dads bring him because they've got that pushy dad, because maybe the dad wanted to do it. He's like, oh, my son. And you can see the kid's face, he don't want to be there, he don't want to do it, especially when it's time to spar. My brother was one of them. When I first started amateur, I had maybe a year, and when he was old enough, I took him along. Probably me being a bit pushy, thinking, you come and do what I do. Yeah. And he was all right on bags, but then when he sparred, he had a good spar, because he got the better of it, and they were like, yeah, it's all right. Well, then he came back, sparred the same kid, and it went opposite way around, and he didn't want it then. And that just shows you, doesn't it? He's not got that in there to think.
It's true.
When he got it put on him, he was like, oh, I don't like this.
I was exactly the same. So when I first started boxing, I love boxing anyway, and imagine we're a similar age. You watch the Rocky films and watch Tyson and stuff, and I want to do this. But when I went, I was just perpetually terrified. Literally, the first 2 or 3 years, I literally went for no other reason than to please my old man. It was the only reason. And my boxing nights were Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I remember vividly, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at school, just shitting myself.
Well,
so have I got a cough? Have I got a sneeze? Can I get out of this? So like, if my old man was like, I can't make it tonight, I've got another shift, I was like, oh, thank God. And when it would be time for sparring, I'd be like in the change rooms, in the toilet, looking around, looking at the floor, anywhere but making eye contact with the coach to go, Neil, you're next. Do you know what I mean? It was just, I would avoid it all. But then I had all these fights, and for some reason I kept doing it, but I never, ever stopped being terrified. Never.
Well, that just to please your man then?
No, you know what, the first 2 years was just to please my old man, and afterwards it was weird. It's because I was in love with the sport. Yeah. I think a lot of it was just, it's that macho thing. Yeah. No one talks about it because it sounds cliche, but it's not. We're all men. It's like, I want to know that I can handle myself as a man. I knew I was never going to be a great pro, but like, I want to know that I can do this. And then it set something off in me. It's like, anytime I was scared of something, it's like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to embrace it.
I remember what happened.
And then in business and, now being a dad, it helps you in all those areas of your life. Like, it's good to know as a man that you can do something difficult and challenging, and even you can lose, but you've still done it.
And then you dedicate yourself to
you can look yourself in the mirror and you know what I mean? I think that's why it's a great thing for kids to get into boxing so young.
Oh yeah, the discipline and self-confidence, and even my self-confidence didn't really come until a few years ago. There were fights I had, mainly the biggest one that I was frightened of with a Martin Ward rematch at Leeds. Didn't help. You're on Josh's undercard and our chief support, so it was really filling up. And I was petrified, really petrified, and thinking, looking for ways out and stuff. But once I got in there, it wasn't as bad. But my nerves really ate me up that. And I think as time's gone on, it's just helped me, and I don't get nowhere near as nervous. My nerves don't click in till I'm walking to the ring. Even in changing rooms, laughing, joking, and relaxed. I think it's just down to experience, I think, and time doing it now. 15 years, so it's been a long run. It's been a long run, but it's gone like that. I was thinking of a day, I remember my first spar, second time I went to the gym, and petrified then as well. But it's been a good run.
And Johnny Nelson has a similar story, doesn't he? I read Johnny Nelson's autobiography a few years ago. And I never liked him as a fighter when he was fighting. Because he boxed so negatively, didn't he? He wasn't attractive to watch. Despite him so skillful, and he psychologically never turned up until like the last 3 or 4 years of his career when he had the Thompson wins. But I read his autobiography, and he goes into so much detail then about all these months that he spent in the Ukraine and Germany sparring the Klitschko's brothers, and he was by himself, lonely, staying in bed sits, and just all these dark times he had. And I developed this newfound respect for him. Now he speaks so openly about the fact that for the first 10 years he was a pro, he could not psychologically get into it. He didn't believe he was a good fighter. He never went into the ring believing he was going to win. Despite having this amazing talent, he could never ever psychologically adapt until the last 3 or 4 years. It's like, wow, it's a bigger deal than people think.
It is the mental side of it. People watch on telly who's not been to gyms or they think you just turn up and you just get in ring like it's nothing. But there's a lot up there what's got to be on point for you to win. Like when you look at when you go around sparring in sparring gyms, you might be a 3-0 novice, and you might go and spar British champion, European champion, and you might come away with that thinking, I think I got better of him then. And there's not, sometimes there's not much difference in levels. It's in there on fight night, and it's in there what separates the champions from the not champions. That's the difference, is up there and getting it right on that stage. If you can't do that, then that's going to stop you being champion.
Do you see it a lot in the gyms though? Do you see it a lot in the gym, like kids come in super talented and then they have a fight and then they're just gone. You never really see them again.
Or sometimes you see myself a bit like that, I've had this break now with just by beating Jono Carroll. The kids I've sparred in gyms, I've sparred a lot of top names, world champions, British, all them, and come away thinking I've got better of them, and I'm thinking why is it not happening yet? And sometimes it's to do with who you are. A big thing now in pro is the tickets, getting that chance. You do see it a lot. You see kids who have not really done it, but you think, oh my God, he's got some serious talent. What's not got him up there yet? Or
I think that's another reason why I love boxing so much, is that everyone talks about talent, And we're often told that way, well, everyone's talented at something. And actually, that's not true. Like talent, real talent is exceptionally rare.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the thing with boxing, it's like the great equaliser, where actually the guy that isn't that talented can beat the guys that are super talented just with a work ethic and a mindset ethic and that real kind of grit and determination. It's just like the Roy Jones of this world, they're one in every 20 years, those kind of fighters. Definitely. Most world champions are at that level. There was a guy called Paul Ing from my hometown.
I remember Paul.
Remember Paul, yeah, great lad.
Brother George.
Yeah.
Same amateurs.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Well, that's the amateur boxing where I came from.
Yeah.
But he was, so Paul was not that talented a fighter.
Yeah.
Which seems insane to say because he went to the Olympics. I think he got a bronze medal, world champion, fought Nazim Hamid, gave Nazim Hamid problems for the first time in his career. Yeah. And he really wasn't that talented a fighter, but his work ethic and his mindset was second to none. It's just that belief. It's like, well, actually, do you know what? Maybe talent itself is overrated.
Yeah. It's like when you watch Ant Cruller. He was like a perfect example. He probably overachieved, really.
Yeah. But a good example is that as well. I remember, I think Ricky Burns had only just, I think in his super featherweight world championship reign, I was sparring down at Ingles, and Dominic Ingle gave a good example. He says, look at Ricky Burns. He says, really hard working, not the most talented, but he just kept going and going. He says, whereas he got beat early in his career by Carl Johansson from Leeds, natural talent, really, but not willing to put that work in. Yeah. Once he got to British level, he started getting paid decent money. Didn't have that right circle of people around him. Yeah. Not dedicating himself to it, partying because he'd come from a rough area, got that money, not willing to work it. Whereas Ricky Burns, not naturally as gifted as Carl, look what he's gone on to achieve. Three-weight world champion just by graft, not giving up, not saying, not accepting the answer no, or just grafting.
Well, that's why one of the few sports where actually it's the backroom support team that you've got is so important. Like the people you surround yourself with. You look how many big name fighters have ruined themselves from having these yes men around them, these entourages. Tyson's a perfect example of that. And then you get guys like Ricky Burns, same team, almost throughout his career, grafting with the same people. And it's the people you surround yourself with, especially in the fight game, is so important.
Oh, big time, yeah. I owe a lot of it to my wife and my family, just having that stability at home and keeping my feet on the ground at home. And that's what's helped me, nice and stable at home, and that's kept me. I've been a pro 10 years, so I was going to wrap it up, but I'm improving, so I've got that stability at home. I don't need boxing, but I believe I've got, I believe I can achieve something out of it, so that's what keeps me going.
When you first turned pro, what did you envisage that you would achieve 10 years down the line?
Never really had a goal. I felt it was a big achievement, just being able to call myself a pro. Yeah. Like, as amateur, I took it serious. Maybe not the first couple of years. It was just more like, I'm just doing it just to do it. Never really thought. And then as I got older, towards 18, saw the ABAs, winning ABAs, that is a massive deal, and maybe box for England. I never managed to get to ABA finals. I got to semis and quarters pretty much every year, but I always come up against a squad lad. But then when we're at now, my last year, I'd beat Chad Gaynor twice, who previous year he'd won the championships, and I beat him, and then he went and turned pro. And obviously, because we're from a similar area, I saw that he'd boxed on a few pro cards, undefeated 3-0. I was like, oh my God, he's a professional. And I thought, I'm still amateur and I managed to beat him. So I was like, maybe I could go pro. So I spoke to him, and that's who I turned pro with, that stable. And when I turned pro, I was like, oh my God, I'm professional. And then my goal changed slightly to look at British, because we used to spar Gary Sykes when he was British champion. So that's never a real goal. That was just like, I'd like to be British champion. I've seen Gary's belt, I've sparred with him. That'd be nice. And again, just sort of doing it, and then as I've sort of started realising how good I've done, it was just like, just look at British, just aim at that, aim at that. And that'd still be nice. That is the goal, to win the British, but now there's a potential fight on the horizon to get ranked in top 15 with world, that's popped up thinking, let's go for that.
Yeah.
Just as far as I can go. Hopefully it'd be nice to finish with some money in bank. That's the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal, I think, is to pay a mortgage off.
Yeah.
I'm not asking for millions and millions, just to pay.
We used to do that. That's an incredible achievement for anyone.
Yeah.
Let alone someone in the fight game.
Yeah. So if that could happen, that would be a massive achievement, and I'd be really happy with that.
So how much of that change of direction came from the Carroll victory? Because obviously that's a fight that you weren't widely expected to win.
No,
and obviously
25 to 1
yeah.
some bookies.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So you go into a fight, you're not expected to win. Most people think you're there to make up the numbers. You go in, not only do you do a job, but it wasn't a fluke. You were round after round after round, you beat him.
Yeah.
How much of it then do you come away and go, like, do you know what, I want to ask you a really honest question. How much did you go into that fight believing you were going to win it?
That one I really did, yeah. From when it got offered to me, I jumped it because I thought, he's naturally. I knew he was naturally smaller.
Yeah.
And I'd watched a lot of his, because a lot of his career has been televised. So I thought he's not better than me. And obviously having Sean and training in that stable, I was sort of on a high. And then when we spoke about it, the backing from my gym mates and Sean, it were like, you've got his number. And then I honestly did believe, I thought, he can't beat me. There's nothing, and every time I watched him, I thought, he did that well, fair enough.
Yeah.
But that's not me in that ring with him. I can beat him, I know I can beat him. But it's still a massive relief, because even though after the fight, before announcement, I thought, I know I've done enough in here, I know I've beat him in ring, I've hit him with clear shots, but I thought, that same old classic thing, that judge was going to get me.
Yeah.
And with how long they were taking, it felt like an age that they were totaling the scorecard. I thought, I don't know if they're going to give me this. And that's that doubt. I thought, what am I going to do? And even though it were only a few minutes, I was like, maybe I'll just pack in. If they don't give it me, maybe I'll just pack in. But then
were you having those thoughts actually in the corner whilst you're waiting for the scorecard to be read?
Yeah, I thought, why are they taking so long? And I thought, if they don't get me, what am I going to say when I go home? My mum's wanted me pack in for ages, so
all mums do.
Yeah, so I was thinking it, for them brief couple of moments, thinking, what am I going to say? Maybe I'll just pack in. I had a decent run at it. But then when they won, I was like, yes, get in. What's next? But yeah, I did really think I was going to beat him, and then after the fight, I thought, I have done enough. There's no way they can say they were robbed. But I know I've done enough.
See, I love hearing that, because you see all these shocks in boxing that happen, every now and then. And obviously your result was a shock. It wasn't a shock to you, but it was a shock to pundits and fans. And then, so you see shocks like yours where you go, he knew he was going to win. He thought he was going to win. He fought like he thought he was going to win. Ruiz against Joshua. Ruiz didn't come into that fight as an underdog.
No.
In his head, he thought, I'm going to beat you. And then you see a guy like Hazim Rahman, we're not that Lennox Lewis. No one was more shocked that fight had landed than Hazim Rahman. He was there for the pitch. Do you know what I mean? You can see the difference when these shocks happen. It's like when Douglas beat Tyson. Douglas knew he was going to win that night. There was something special. He knew he was going to win. I love it that when you've got that mentality where it's like, no, I'm 25 to 1 underdog, 50 to 1 underdog.
I didn't know them odds, because I don't bet anyway. Something I'd never been interested in. But if I'd have known them, if I'd have saw them odds, I'd have told my missus, I said, get as much money as we've got. I said, get it put down.
You've got your house on it, you could have paid the mortgage.
I know, I could have ended up with a lot more than a person if I'd put some money on that. But I just paid no interest to it, because I was that focused on winning. But I were offended when one of the lads come and see me after the fight. He says, thanks for that. I got you at 25 to 1 and I put a tenner on you. I thought, tenner? I thought, well, you didn't think
where was your faith in me? You risking it, fighting the dominoes.
But I was like, Jesus, 25 to 1. I thought, what did they think I am? What did they think I am? I've got no arms. It's like, I've only lost 5 fights against good, Martin Ward, British champion, Liam Walsh, world title challenger, Scotty Cardle, British champion, and Sam Bowen. All British and top fighters. And it's like, you've lost. You're no good now. You've not got a chance against Jono Carroll. And I was a bit offended by it, but...
I think that's because most fight fans won't thank me for saying this, but most fight fans are not that educated on what goes on behind the scenes. Like, who's he lost to?
Yeah,
Why did that loss occur?
Yeah.
What was that guy's record before?
Yeah.
So what they'll do, you look at a guy like Carroll, who's got some media backing, he's got financial support. He said most of his fights have been televised, and in the mind of the average fan, it's like, oh well, that's the guy. That's the guy. I've not heard of Maxi before, and then Maxi comes in and does a number on him. You see what I mean? And it's like, oh, this is a big shock, but it wasn't a shock to to you or to your coach or your trainers. But most fight fans are quite fickle in that regard.
Oh yeah. I mean, Jamie Conlon, who's I think he's vice president for MTK. He said in interviews before, he says this is a real potential banana skin to derail, because I think Jono were hoping to have me as a keep busy fight and then go for a world title once all this is COVID settled. But Conlon said, he says this is a real potential banana skin. He's got to be focused and thingy if he wants to beat Maxi, because he's no muppet. But again, because he's in the fight game, he knows who I've lost to, and he knows how close I've pushed these guys.
Exactly.
I remember when I boxed Martin Ward for third time for British, the judges didn't really have it as close as the fight was. Martin and Tony Sims came in the dressing room after, and Tony said to me, he says you've made a massive improvement since we fought you the other two times. He says, don't take no notice of them scorecards, he says, because it were a lot closer than what them. People might just look at that result and go, oh, look at scores, oh, Maxi, he got beat easy. Whereas it doesn't tell the story of how close the fight was.
And people look at names, so I mean the Carroll victory against Quigley, actually Quigley's a great fighter, but he got him at the right time, so he was past his best. So that's a result that, even though, don't get me wrong, Jono fought great that night, but that result flatters him somewhat. It's not a true representation. He didn't. Would he have beat the Scott Quigley 5 years previously? Probably not. But again, most people just see that big name there and go, "This is the guy to watch."
And I think that's what helped me in that fight. I think he was still riding high from that. The way he was walking about the hotel like he owned it. He said, "You've only beat Scott Quigg."
Humble man means again. I love it. I love it.
All right. So before we wrap up, do you want to let's get into your fighters coming up? Like, do you want to give people a bit of a background on the guy you're fighting?
Fighting a kid called Viktor Kochigov. He's undefeated in 12 fights, 5 stoppages. He's the WBC International Champion, ranked number 14 in world by the WBC. I've watched bits of him. He's a come forward, aggressive. He's got that record, so maybe he believes in that. He's thinking, I'm a big puncher. I'm come forward. But the kids who he's boxed don't believe that they're on the level that I've boxed at. I've had nearly 30 fights now, so I've had double the fights he's had at a good level. So I think my momentum with beating Carroll only 6-7 weeks ago, I think that's going to help me. I'm on top of my game. I don't think he'll beat me. In fact, no.
Come on, change that, Max.
Yeah.
I've just been praising your mentality.
I am going to beat him. I'll come back on here with WBC there. I know he's not on my level, and it's great that the fight's going to be abroad. I've got to tick that off, boxing abroad. Seems a nice venue. But I'm excited for it. Bring it on.
Yeah, man. Can't wait to watch, man.
Good,
right?
Nice one. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
Nice one. Cheers, pleasure.